Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening for those that are connected from different time zones. You are all mostly welcome to our 14th edition of the SaferNet. So, lessons learned, new challenges, and digital tools. This is a panel that has been taking place since the first day of Internet in Brazil, and we have the honor to hear from some companies and platforms about their initiatives, actions, and efforts to allow a positive, safe internet and users who are conscious about its use. And it's important that companies, they are liable to offer services which will include privacy, safety, and users' well-being. And to moderate this panel, I would like to invite our colleague, Mr. Moreiras, who is a project manager for Ceptro and also NIC.br. And it's a great privilege to have those incredible, great women who are now occupying places of high relevance and helping to bring together platforms in a rather safer and more positive way, carrying out human rights. So once again, Moreiras, thanks for being with us. I wish you all a great panel, and let's keep going. Thanks, Rodrigo. Indeed, it is a privilege. It's up to me to thank you for the invitation. Although I work for NIC.br, that is a co-organizer of the event, I am not an organizer, and I was invited to be a moderator of this panel, which I am pretty sure will be very enriching, not just because we have women in this panel, but also because we have relevant companies involved. We have here representatives from Instagram, Google Brazil, Twitter, TikTok, Tinder, Vivo, really important and relevant companies and platforms, well known and used by many of us. And the goal here today is to talk about lessons learned, new challenges, and new tools to allow the better use of platforms and internet. What have we learned during the pandemic, where the use of internet and the use of all these tools had increased? People, they spent much more time at home, and we became more dependent on the network. The network became a mean to perform whatever we used to do in presence in the past. Well, let me introduce our speakers. I will not read their bios, otherwise we would end up with the panel time. But if you'd like to get any additional information about their CVs, just visit the website. Well, Natalia Paiva, she worked with public policies for Latin America, Instagram. Flávia Annenberg, she works for Google Brazil, governmental affairs. Marília Monteiro, she works for Twitter. Marília Monteiro, TikTok. Then we have Natalia Neres, she works for Twitter. Blessing, she's director of social advocacy at Match Group for Tinder. She will speak in English, but we'll have a translation into Portuguese. We also have Marsuri Romero. She's an executive of sustainability for Vivo carrier. With no further ado, I will hand over to our first speaker, who will have 10 minutes each one of you to talk and share lessons learned, new challenges, and digital safe. And in the end, we're going to open for a round of questions. So shall we start with Natalia Paiva from Instagram for Latin America? And we know that Instagram was one of the platforms that became so popular in Brazil during the pandemic for entertainment purpose, for study purpose, sales. And now we would like to ask you, Natalia, what sort of news available in the platform that you have to throw to improve users' experience? What were the lessons learned during this period of time? Hi there. Good afternoon to all of you. It's important to stop, reflect, and think upon strategies that will help to build up a better internet to all. The topic of this panel is very interesting as it is lessons learned, new challenges, and tools for digital safety. What has been Meta strategy? Meta is the owner of Instagram and Facebook. What have we been doing in terms of users' well-being? Well, that has been divided into three pillars. First, policies. What can be shared, what cannot be shared over our platforms in accordance to a number of principles in respect to human dignity, privacy, and security. And also, what sort of technology do we use to detect a violation and remove them from our platform? And there are 1,000 people working daily for that. We also have control tools that users may apply for their own control. And third pillar are partnerships that we have with some international organizations that together we can think about how to better promote digital safety. So my suggestion is to reflect upon the main lessons learned in the past years from Instagram perspective. The first pillar is to talk about protection. We have to design and develop products considering users' experience in terms of risk. Today, we have different sort of protections to vulnerable groups that are applied by default. Right after users register to a platform, there is a default protection for those who are younger than 16 or 18 years old. Someone who is 15 years old that opens an Instagram account, that account will be private by default. It will be recommended to be a private account, and users will have to go to settings to change it. Also, a user who is younger than 18, the sharing setup is turned off by default. In addition to facial recognition in case of Facebook, also the posting setting will be defined by default in the private mode. And information such as contact, school, date of birth, they are not available for research if we are talking about a user younger than 18. In addition, we have a quick promotion, which are educational warnings for youngsters while they are running their online experience. We also increased our protection since last year. Adults cannot send messages to youngsters to whom they are not connected with. If they are not followers, if they are not friends, they cannot send messages. We also developed another technology that is able to detect users with a potential to have inappropriated contact with some youngsters. For instance, if a user older than 18 that is reported by several teenagers, this is a sign that we may have to guarantee that that person will no longer search for an account of a user younger than 18 in the Instagram, in addition to some security warnings that we make available to our teenager users. We have the nudges tools that will take users to a more healthy and positive approach. For 2 or 3 years, we have this tool that is named comment warning. Anytime that someone tries to post something that may sound offensive, not necessarily might be, but there is a potential to be, we are going to show that message. Are you sure that you'd like to post it? And then the person has a chance to go back to the text editor and to change it. And 50% of everyone, they repost it, they change the comment. So we help users to reach a more positive comment. Simultaneously, we show that message to say that Instagram is a warming place, and we try to promote the pedagogical effect, and that has been very useful so far. Another example of nudge is this tool, make a pause. If you activate this tool, and we are taking messages, especially to our youth, for them to turn that on. You may choose 10, 20, or 30 minutes. Anytime that you open your Instagram app, once you reach 10 minutes, you are told, you are asked, better say, would you like to make a pause? Then maybe you can, listen to some music, you can stand up, you can do homework, whatever. This is a very new tool, but it sounds to be very promising. In our preliminary tests carried out last year, 90% of those tested, they stick with it active for a while. So they see an added value with this reminder tool, which is to turn off from the social network, because a positive internet is not just the risk of a harm that may cause to our that comes to our minds, such as harassment, but we are talking about a positive environment and not to drain youth health, mental health. In addition, we have a support resource to prevent suicide. If they search for any specific hashtags leading to suicidal ideation, we work with this support resource, but not only for suicidal ideation, but also for food disorders. And we allow some professionals to help those that have food disorder. If someone types bulimia, if they are bulimic, then a professional will step in. We also have education. Education, and the main challenge here is to go beyond the guide. How can we indeed reach youngsters and the general population to talk about safe, positive internet to all? At Instagram, we have several programs, which would include some in-presence events that was conducted for public or with the public schools, and we talked about suicidal prevention, and we had a rapper a gig by the end of the presentation. We also put together a exhibition at a museum, sorry, to talk about body weight or gaining weight or losing weight. We also have another project where parents, they should help their children to have a healthy internet use. And we also work on digital well-being. We have some partnerships with a number of creators, and this is an example of that. And this is such a strength because we bring together content creators that have a very relevant, rich. Here is Ju Romani and Sophie. Sophie, she's an expert in food disorders, and she's here talking about this issue. We also carried out a documentary about new imaginations being done throughout the internet. And by vulnerabilities, we are talking about the likelihood that these people can be seen, represented, and they are able to reconstruct new stereotypes and get rid of those old ones. And last but not least important, this is a new program which was released just last week. So we want to promote a positive internet, not just free of harm, but rather an internet that can be positive, can help people to connect to others positively. And internet can be this area for inspiration and connection. And I'd like to invite you all to participate to this discussion throughout lives, videos, posts, podcasts, guides, and just visit all our channels. And to close, another important learning is the co-creation. In the prior panel, someone from the audience asked about teenagers' participation. And we believe it's important to hear their opinion. So we are developing some parental tools where we not just listen to experts, but also parents and youngsters. So we are organizing some focus groups with our young users to better understand how we may co-create considering different considering all the disparities. This hearing process should be not just a formal one, but a place for co-creation that we are suggesting. And I guess that in our next Safer Internet Day celebration, we'll be able to share more information about that. That's it, guys. Thank you. It was a great honor to be here, and I am at your disposal for further questions. Thanks, Natalia. We are going to save questions to the end of the panel, okay?
Aí do Insta e as iniciativas no Insta.
Great presentation, and I really liked listening to Instagram initiatives. You know, this idea of developing or designing a product considering risk absence. If we are talking about gaps or breaches, whenever we are developing a software, we develop a software trying to forecast any possible breach, and you are doing exactly the same, considering standards, nudges. They are all good lessons that all of us can take to our online services and to some other platforms. Thanks a lot. Now, I'd like to hand over to our second speaker of the day, representing Google Brazil, Flávia Annenberg. During the pandemic, there was an increasing number in the use of Google. Google has a great range of products and we all make use of them. And we know that Google has a number of efforts to improve digital well-being. I quite like this expression, digital well-being. So Flávia, what have you got to share with us? The floor is yours. Thank you. Good afternoon to everyone. First, let me thank you for the invitation. I'm so happy to be here celebrating. I also like to congratulate SaferNet, CGI, NIC.br. I had the chance to participate at some of these very interesting sessions that you have held this morning. And I also would like to greet all these amazing ladies that are being here today representing a number of companies. And thanks to you, Moreiras, of course, to moderate this panel. Well, I'd like to start sharing some relevant information about a positive internet. Google has disclosed a survey conducted with parents in Latin America, including Brazil. Online safety became a topic mainly during the pandemic, a very relevant topic, mainly during the pandemic, during social distancing, social isolation. Children, they anticipated, we had to anticipate it somehow, this conversation with children about safety, privacy, because they became tech savvy and we had to discuss about that. According to this report, 67% of those who participated in the survey, they feel more comfortable to see their children being connected in the internet for educational use before the pandemic. In addition, 88% of them believe that their children would talk to them if they had been exposed to an online problem. And what has been done to help with this problem? 82% they said that they had a meaningful talk with their children about the topic, and 95% of them, they say they follow their children's activities throughout the devices. Despite all this positive scenario, thanks to dialogue and discussions, we have some other issues. Among the main worries, we have privacy, safety, inappropriated content, access, and we have children harassment. Brazil is a country where children would get their first smartphone when they are really young. In average, they are already 9 years old, much earlier than any other Latin American country. In Google, we believe that technology may have a positive impact to develop children's skills, such as freedom of expression, among others. But we also acknowledge that technology may be undesirable in some age stages. As children, they have to play, they have to express and learn online. And this panel is very timely because it emphasizes such a learning, and it's a challenge to balance both. And for that, we have been working over 4 main pillars: building up innovative products, privacy protection, and to work closely to experts, to implement efficient policies, and to create innovative products.
And they are translated into four main pillars, as you can see here. They are including empowerment, policies, education, and products. I'm going to choose some of them, but we can talk about the other ones later. Empowerment is aimed at empowering the users. We have the Family Link, an app for download. It helps update users and it enables those who are responsible for the family create rules for the family with apps that children can use, define bedtime, and also a daily limitations. In terms of policies, Google has developed solutions, for example, to prevent the use of the new platforms for the dissemination of children's abuse. It included the development of new technologies that enable Google to quickly and efficiently identify children's abuse in its platform. Also, there is there are actually activities to reduce the exposure of harmful or inappropriate content. According to the guidelines, content that may be harmful or risky can be removed. Now, in terms of education, Google believes in education as a means for prevention, and the main program is the one we see in the internet, and perhaps you're already familiar with it. It's a program developed by specialists to train children so that they can use the internet safer and wiser. Also, we have an online game which teaches internet or how you can have a safe use of the internet. And it also provides tips for the parents so they can have access to content and help them talk to their children at home. Finally, in terms of product, we have a resource which helps filter contents, preventing the risk of finding undesirable sites. And this is a standard for all content, for all access of individuals younger than 12 years of age. Also, there is YouTube Kids with a different experience that can be controlled by parents. And also, since last year, we have a Family Link that enables children to access YouTube with a supervised account. Choice can be made according to children's age. For example, we have transmissions, comments, live chats that are deactivated, also the possibility of controlling content, among others. And then whenever I talk about a differentiated approach, I'm also talking about the use of language and the visual communication that is appropriate for this content. I have some examples here. Seja incrível na internet. Be amazing in the internet with games to deal with difficult topics, as, for example, bullying. There's the privacy guide for teenagers with information on privacy and the use of data in the question and answer format, which is easy to understand. Also, we have the privacy guide of the Family Link for children and adolescents, and they are adjusted to all of these age groups. Based on this, last year we announced some updates. This has to do with the topic of this panel, since we're talking about lessons learned. We're talking about this ability to talk and learn from the specialists and how we can improve our products. I'm going to make part of it available, not everything. Regarding the location, the location history is deactivated for all of the accounts, and children with supervised accounts cannot activate it. More recently, this was extended to those younger than 18 years of age who do not have the possibility of activating their location. Also, we have updates where the automatic reproduction of video was deactivated as a standard. That thing that links one video to the other. Also, we have a reminder of bedtime. Also, the videos that focus only on the packaging of the product or encourage children to spend more money. We have prepared a guide for the family to help children understand how content is displayed in YouTube, including these promotions. Changes have been made on uploads. Now, with private um, submission, we can make better informed decision about their online presence, and it also encourages young people to choose content and whether they want it to be public or not. You can change the setup, and in this case, we send reminders to send information. Also, we created contextualized notices to remind them of who can see these comments, the posts. Finally, in Google Play, efforts have been made to promote quality content. A new session on safety has enabled us to see what kind of content is available. With that, the apps have to better inform how they collect data, making it easier to make decisions. And now to wrap up my presentation, I will talk a little bit about safety and privacy. We're talking about children and teenagers, but actually privacy and safety is something which works for everybody regardless of age. We have central safety with the YouTube's photos, assistant. It's a one-stop shop. In this page, you can update all of the setups, the devices that are connected, make sure how the passwords work with a complete safety check. Also, it's important to understand information on the collected data for video history, location history, and how data is collected, stored, and excluded. And that enables users to define whether they want data to be shared or not. With that, I would like to reinforce Google's commitment to making the internet safer for people in general and in special to children and adolescents. It's a pleasure to be here in this panel. Thank you very much. Well, we thank you. We thank you for your presentation and your participation, Flávia, and Google's goodwill to be present here and collaborating. It was a very interesting presentation. I will not make any further comments, and I will invite our next panelist because time is going very fast. Natalia Neres, who is responsible for public policies in Twitter. We know that recently Twitter launched materials, safety guidelines, and it has adopted new protection measures for users with a highlight to the safety of women. I wanted to ask Natalia to let us know a little bit about these actions, what changes have been made during the pandemic. So, Natalia, the floor is yours. Thank you, Antonio. And I thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here discussing such an important issue, and this has been expected by our community, actually. So I thank you very much for this space and the opportunity to talk about the new challenges and learning experiences we've had in the last year of the pandemics. I would also like to greet my colleagues. It's a pleasure to share this space with you. I will share my screen. Well, I am Natalia Neres. I coordinate the area of public policies, and I will not talk too long. but we are going to talk about 4 different things. First of all, I'm going to talk to you about Twitter's characteristics. One thing that is very clear whenever we make joint presentations on the platforms is that they're different among them. And I will start talking a little bit about Twitter and what we've done to protect our conversations, our evolution. And then finally, I will talk about safety tools and the control of the experience. There is more than one way to deal with safety. This doesn't mean just strict rules on abuse, but it's important to offer different experiences to those who use the control platform. And they reinforce the safety and may have a preventive effect actually regarding any problems that we may have on inadequate use of the platform. So Twitter is where people go to find out what's going on. It is an opportunity for a conversation, for entertainment about large political events. And the idea, actually, the perspective we have is that the healthier this conversation, the more diverse it will be, more people will be heard. And whenever we have an abusive behavior and inadequate conduct in the platform, we usually discourage people to talk, and the public conversation has its value decreased. And so everything that we have experienced in terms of rules and improvement of the rules, or even new tools, according to this perspective, that we need to have a public or a quality public conversation so that people really want to be there. And so it is based on this that we have our main question. How can we protect the health of the conversation? The most efficient way to do this is by addressing challenges. We have 3 main challenges to deal with it and to guarantee safety and health. First of all, the first challenge has to do with disinformation. Number 2, with robots. A third challenge has to do with abusive behavior. I will quickly share with you what we have already, what has been improved to cover the other 3 aspects I was talking about in my introduction. One important aspect to highlight is that any kind of improvement that we may have, we always have these principles behind them. Number 1, decreasing potential damage. Number 2, reducing prejudices and harmful incentives. And later, when I tell you about the active efforts we've made, these things will be made more clear, especially regarding abusive behavior. It's important to improve public responsibility, accountability, improve the diversity of perspectives. Now, let's talk about the challenges based on what we have today and what we've seen in the last few years. Regarding this first challenge, we can approach it under 2 main topics. We have civic integrity policy that has to do with civic processes and elections. Unfortunately, I do not have enough time to talk about all of them. The most important thing here is to say that they exist and they are part of the improvements we've made recently. A second topic is COVID. A major lesson learned is that for the development of a specific policy or a specific rule, we need a lot of time. We prepare our policies on COVID when the pandemic was announced and started. And then we've been learning a lot about this, what kind of content, what kind of tool can be made available. And this is perhaps the policy that was implemented the fastest, taking into account the urgency of this topic. These two lectures are actually here. We have our policies on synthetic media and manipulated media. We have the prompt COVID-19, some specific keywords on the pandemic, which will provide information about this. In addition to that, we have the support to mediatic education initiatives. Regarding robots, an important aspect that we've learned is that we have a lot of research done about this, but we have learned that there are other signs that are very important for us to detect automation. We have been proactive about this. Our report informs that we have challenged a lot more than in previous years. We have some kind of automation, and we have also implemented some proactive activities to deal with challenges focusing on COVID-19. The pandemic situation has made all of our policies to be reviewed more frequently. A third challenge, abuse. We have our own rules. I invite you to give a look at them. They are available in Portuguese, and they are divided into three main axes: privacy, safety, and authenticity. Regarding privacy, we prohibit the dissemination of private information. When we talk about safety, we have a set of behaviors that are forbidden, such as violence, terrorism, violent extremism, children's sexual abuse, and we have established a partnership so that every time we have anything related to children's sexual abuse is forwarded to the helpline, which provides specific information about that, including the information on contact. We also have a policy for abuse and harassment. Goods or illegal goods and services are regulated, suicide and self-mutilation, also sensitive multimedia content. These are things that have been improving steadily, but more and more we realize that it's important to include other protected categories. And our learnings have also included deficiencies, or we also have authenticity rules. I have mentioned them, and they are part of the information we share on the two topics we work with, and I have already mentioned spam, platform manipulation, election integrity, identity supply, or false or abuse content, and trademarks. For all of these behaviors, we have a mechanism for the provision of information. This year, we're going to include another category. You can see that we had the possibility of informing whether something is suspect or spam, or whether it's abusive. And if we're talking about image, we have more options, including the information on fake news. Now, regarding this possibility, this tool is experimental in English-speaking countries in the last few years, and it now comes into the Brazilian context. All of this is based on a better understanding of what is reported in the platform as being potentially fake or misleading, so that we can have a proactive identification of content. This tool has this characteristic. It is a pilot so that we can better deal with this issue proactively, especially for these two types of content. And of course, I'm talking a lot about the use of technology, but we have different contexts and information, and we apply a series of measures. It's important to remind you of that, because if our focus is on the suspension or not of accounts, then we realize that there are other actions that we can take and that might have an educational effect on the people who use the platform inappropriately. What do I mean by this? We can apply our measures against tweets, against accounts, and we can label tweeters to provide more context. We can improve the visibility, or we can demand content to be removed, or we can disseminate the information if we understand that the information is important enough to be part of the public debate and that it will help with some specific topics. Also, we have the profile editing. When you include the account which is available only for content, in other words, it is frozen, we can check that. And I was recently talking about all of these challenges in terms of automation. We also have a permanent suspension, which is in fact the most serious policy. And this is done definitively, and users can no longer come back to the platform. So this is our evolution. I have told you a little bit about what we've done. We have the new platform for the information on inappropriate content, but it's also important to note progress regarding the identification of this content. Until 2017, nothing that we had reported on abuse was taken to the technology team. They have learned a lot based on this content, and in general, and based on our latest report, 65% of what is considered abuse has been found proactively by our teams. And this is an important thing. It provides users the idea of how important it is to inform about all of these factors. Also, these data represents a little, very little, 0.1% of the content violates our rule. Also relevant is the fact that 8% of the tweets that were removed had more than 1,000 impressions. These actions show that in general, this is a healthy conversation, but we have also dealt similarly to Google and others with those tools for safety. Here you can see different types of tools that can be used if an individual is having a problem with an individual account with different people. And also regarding the feed, I don't have enough time to describe each one of them, but it's important to include these mechanisms for the blocking, discontinuation, who can send DMs regarding the conversations. Um, you can determine who can answer or make a comment. These are important tools, and they may have a preventive effect regarding toxic content. In addition to that, this is important information. So what do other people know about me, especially if we have activists, journalists, people who are very vocal. So this is very important for the protection of tweets, visibility, and even what data is shared that could be chosen by this person, and in turn, making this experience a little bit better. Recently, we announced the harmful language tool, similar to what Natalia mentioned. Many surveys indicate that once somebody tweets something that might be potentially harmful, we ask, would you like to revise this? Frequently, they change their answers. Over 30% of the times they are asked to do that. So that's an important tool, and they happen before potential abuse. Also, there's a recent policy on sensitive content. So Twitter is where things happen. People like to talk about things such as natural disaster and so many others. But it's very important that we are aware of it so that we can keep our conversations healthy. I don't have enough time to talk about the different policies more specifically. One important thing that we have done, however, is to communicate, to make this information as available as possible, especially for the people we believe to be more vulnerable. These are people who have different markers such as race, gender, sexual orientation. And so we have supported initiatives by the civil society to help with that, making it more accessible. Today, we're launching and supporting Minas program. This is for girls in Twitter. We believe that it's important in a good communication as opposed to what happens in our blogs and traditional media. And last year, we also launched a safety guide with the support of Internet Lab that also translates all of the efforts. The guide for journalists was done after a global survey with the civil society. And I would like to say that all of these strategies are combined so that the conversation and the health of the conversation is adequate. And I would now like to invite you to access this material and our policies. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Natalia. It was an excellent presentation. I didn't want to be in your place dealing with the safety of all of these platforms. It's very challenging. Many of these tools lead with people's opinion and things that we think that are not controversial. Today, for some people, things are controversial and for others not. Even if science will say something, and I'd like to remind you that when they found that the earth turned around the sun and not the other way around, it was scientists who went there and said, no, this is wrong. So things evolve a lot. It is very challenging, it's very difficult, but we have to move forward. We have to create these tools, and it's really nice to see the efforts made by the platforms and your goodwill to be here discussing this publicly and being transparent with all of the actions that are being taken so that everybody can say something, voice their opinion. It's excellent, and I think that together we'll be able to develop a better internet and a better society.
Passar a palavra agora
Next, I
para
would like to hand over to Marília Monteiro, representing TikTok. She is a public policy manager, where we see a significant growth in the usage of TikTok. TikTok is still a bit informal. It's used rather for entertainment. And how do you deal with privacy and safety considering users' engagement? This is such a formal and strict content, and how to guide your users within this content. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Moreiras. I'd like to greet all my dear panelists, and I feel so honored to share this panel with you ladies. It's great to see my colleagues from NIC.br, and I'm here on behalf of TikTok, as we are also part of this dialogue, and here I am to share our efforts, measures, and tools to be able to keep internet within a positive and health environment. Is always a challenge talking after powerful women and those important platforms that were exposed before my talk. So the TikTok is a different product. Each platform has its own identity, its own proposition, with different instruments that may expand users' safe. So our goal is to inspire creativity and joy. This is a global entertainment platform. We had created a new content, and we know that TikTok is leading to some cultural trends, and we see that as an opportunity to raise a safe and positive setting, so users, they keep coming to TikTok to express themselves creatively and freely. We are a quite young platform if I compare ourselves to other platforms addressed here before myself, and since at the very beginning of TikTok, we strengthen our technologies to be able to offer security and safety for everyone to keep expressing themselves fully in a genuine manner. So I will try to share what we place to have a better control during TikTok experience and still to keep our community feeling safe to express themselves. And I will also disclose some specific measures that we have in place for our teams and some new learnings that we had, especially in the past year. So what do we do to be able to support well-being? Our digital well-being tools, they help users to have a better control to monitor the time spent during TikTok. That is a screen time monitor. And the goal to have a screen monitor time is to give user the possibility to entertain in a health manner within an appropriated time frame. In addition to have that possibility in the settings where you can define how much you'd like to be connected and navigate in the TikTok daily, we work together with our developers. If we see that there is a user that is spending too long at the TikTok, we send some incentive messages to motivate them to give a break, to pause for a while, to do something different offline, maybe read a book, spend some time with the family, stand up, stretch. We understand that our users, they have a very creative way to express, but we wanted to avoid burnout of that experience. Still addressing well-being tools to generate kindness, as we usually say here, we say that we create content with our soul, and people do love watching and sharing that. Therefore, we are very conscious about control tools and interaction tools during the content creation. Therefore, we make available some tools, especially about comments which are made about contents. We are able to filter any sort of comments that are made on a video, and if those comments are edited, they are not shown except if users decide so. And that will complement some additional resources that we have for comments, which are spam filters and comment filters with some specific words. In addition, we are able to exclude simultaneous comments in block. We know that comments are very important for community members to connect with the creators and to keep developing meaningful ways to please those who watch their own videos. And throughout those comment control, we believe that we are able to develop a conscious way to promote a more respectful way to interact with the TikTok users. We have also developed some other specific tools to offer not only to our creators, but also to parents and to those who are responsible for our users. Parents and legal responsibles, they are key to guarantee their safety. They cannot do that by themselves, neither can we do it without them. So we are after different ways to include that experience within TikTok. So we had released a family synchrony tool, which allows to customize privacy and safety tools. There are some other platforms that have similar resources, and they offer the same sort of participation to enhance a dialogue between youngsters and parents. Family Sync at TikTok allows that a parent or a tutor will allocate your own account to your son account and activate screen time management, establishing how long that youngster can spend in front of the screen. And in addition to it, that adolescent undergoes those videos based on that perception that he spent quite a while at TikTok, so he'll get one of those incentive videos to switch to an offline activity. Family Sync allows that parents may activate a restrict mode where they are able to restrict some contents which may seem not to be appropriated to that adolescent. There is also a possibility to directly block messages or to select or restrain those who can or cannot send a direct message to that person. We may also restrain search to certain types of content. And here we're talking about any sort of accessible content. By that I mean accounts, hashtags, audios, videos that can be accessed in our platform. In addition to manage and restrain interactions throughout comments and the videos. Similarly to Instagram, we have a number of guides, and we have just updated a specific guideline to parents, offering additional tools for parents to better understand the way TikTok works so they can get additional information about general topics regarding internet safety so they can discuss openly with those who are responsible to develop the platform together with parents. We believe this is an additional way to help these different generations to get together in the TikTok platform. Our youth is growing under constant changes, and we believe that we have a relevant role to play, which is helping them to manage their safety and guarantee that they are growing with a certain level of awareness. And for that, we offer appropriated control settings according to their age range, and they were developed by TikTok carefully. We had split adolescents by age group between 13 to 17 years old, together with experts, science prevention, and youth prevention. And our prediction is based not just in that knowledge acquired by experts, but also in the evidences found in the literature and local experts. So we have to make some distinctions between those who are in the beginning of the adolescence, those who are between 13 to 16 years of age, and late adolescence from 15, 16 to 18. Accounts for those who are younger than 16, 13 to 15, that is private by default. So once they accept that group of that friendship, and that account is no longer active, so we deactivated that account. Direct messages are not active for those who are younger than 16, and for those between 16 and 17, direct message is defined as default to anyone. But no one may send images or links throughout direct messages. We reached that decision to protect not only our community as a whole, but also our adolescents, to prevent some kind of intimidation or any other problems. We know that this type of content is usually shared by direct messages. TikTok lives, they are not active for those under 16, and the function all or the feature all is not active. We can just download the videos for those who are older, 16 or 17. The default setting of download is off, but they can change it to the on mode. And similarly to what Flávia told us, in Google, we implemented some features within the experience of a continuous creation so they can reflect in a more conscious way throughout the pop-ups that are uploaded anytime that they upload a video. At the time they see all the settings and they have to choose privacy and other features. We have other features at TikTok, which is the thread and Duero that is not on for those under 16 and for those older than 16 that is able just for friends. Mainstreams that is blocked for any user under 18. In the past year, we have learned a bit more about this group of adolescents that navigate at TikTok thanks to their concerns and to be able to help them to develop a more positive and health routine together with our platform. We no longer made available notifications by push to those between 13 to 14 after 9 p.m. and to the older ones, they no longer get notifications in the app after 10 p.m. And to close my talk, I have one more learning to share that had reflected in a number of changes in the TikTok policies. 2 months ago, we released a global project to better understand how those youngsters they get involved in some sort of gossips and some kind of narratives in the platform. How can we develop more effective answers as we work different ways to support parents, educators, and kids? In the meantime, we interviewed over 10,000 adolescents, parents, and educators. Brazil, Argentina, Germany, Indonesia, UK, Vietnam. We had hired a independent consultancy agency to write a report about the main learnings that we had right after we had compiled all the answers we got from this global survey. The report written by the Safeguard Presidium may be accessed by our website and blog. In addition to have that independent advocacy consultancy, and after interviewing 10,000 people, we count on 2 great experts with a number of recommendations after they read this report. And in Brazil, we had Dr. Fabiana Vasconcelos from Mercurio Institute, which is an institute specialized on online challenges. What have they told us after assessing online risk? Well, they deploy a number of methodologies to understand those risks that may be or not related to those canards or gossips, reading comments about contents, talking to friends. We know that to guide adolescents and to tell them how to assess potential risks may be a relevant way to keep our adolescents safe anytime they find any sort of in play. Many of them told us that they would like to have more information about risks, about rumors, and what is supposed to go too far away. Parents and educators are not always able to approach adolescents about some rumors that are being disseminated over the internet. They have an active worry that if they mention the name of any rumor or of any challenge, adolescents will learn about it and they might get motivated to do it. So 60% of parents and educators, they say that they prefer not mentioning self-mutilation rumors, except if the adolescent talks about it themselves. And a great percentage of parents told us that it's very difficult talking about rumors without raising their children's interest in it. After all these answers that we got from our survey, what have we perceived? We understood that they all want to get more information about rumors and about any other sort of titles that may have. We had then developed online challenges properly written to parents and educators, helping them to better approach these ideas with their adolescents. In addition to it, we also created an alert on videos that can be uploaded in the TikTok videos if we see any necessity for additional caution. And if we see any harmful potential content, we also raise a warning about that. If a user searches for that content at our platform, we encourage them to access our safety belt to learn more about the theme, and we also go after a rumor regarding suicide, mutilation, and then we involve a institution that addresses topics regarding value to life. We have also guidelines written after the survey. Our guidelines, our community guidelines, they would address issues regarding harmful rumors in our policy of self-mutilation and suicidal ideation. But in our community now, we have a new item in our policies to address that classification of harmful rumor, to try to be more transparent in the way we can better deal with that online content. We are all doing whatever we can within this field, and we won't stop doing whatever we can to keep a safe and positive environment to all. That is a collective and joint effort. And it's great to be here with all platforms, to know that we are working collectively with the platforms, adolescents, parents, experts, organizations, and other interested stakeholders that are interested in turning internet into a positive environment. Thank you. Thank you, Marília. That was a great presentation. We are running really, really late. With no further ado, I have a Blessing Okorogo, our next speaker.
Match Group, do Tinder. Ela vai falar em inglês, mas nós contamos
She will speak English, but we have a simultaneous translation in real time. So if you are in the YouTube broadcast and you need the translation, just look for the proper translation channel, and you'll be able to get the whole talk, either in English, native language, or in Portuguese. Now I hand over to you, Blessing.
Thank you so much, Antonio. Hello, everyone. My name is Blessing Okurugo, and I'm the Director of Social Advocacy at Match Group. Thank you so much, especially to SaferNet, for having me here today. And I'm so excited to hear from so many leaders on this panel in terms of how companies are thinking about and progressing digital safety. For those who don't know, Match Group owns and operates one of the largest global portfolios when it comes to online dating and social connectivity services. And that includes Match.com, of course, Par Perfetto, and Tinder. And in total, that's over 45 dating apps worldwide. Today, particularly, I'm going to be focusing on Tinder, which is our most popular app for meeting new people. So I wanted to start really by providing an overview of what Tinder is all about, the mission of Tinder, and how we think about Tinder's philosophy for social connectivity before we dive into safety. So I wanted to talk about Tinder in terms of how Tinder started. And Tinder's goal really is focused on simplification. It's really the process of simplifying how people meet online. And that's really, you sign up, you add photos, and then you start swiping in one direction or the other. And the idea is to have a conversation that's really meted on a need to think about liking and mutually extended minds and the ways in which you think about connection. And really that simplicity in terms of how people connect is really core to the Tinder experience to this very day. And when we think about the mission of Tinder, ultimately that mission is really to ensure that we're keeping the magic of that human connection alive. That fundamental belief that everyone deserves the ability to find meaningful connection with anyone new. And so people often ask, what is Tinder for? And it's really up to each individual, each member of the Tinder community to decide what they wanted out of that experience. And Tinder's really built on that whole world of possibilities, which is really rooted in an individual's ability to present themselves authentically, to be treated authentically, and to have an authentic experience. And when you think about COVID having turned the world upside down over the past 2 years, Tinder's really played an important role in how people have been connecting and stayed connected. So I really wanted, though, to focus on how we think about the relationship with safety. People really need to feel safe in order to really present authentically and put themselves out there. And putting yourself out there is really in the hopes of meeting not just that person new, but it's that act of vulnerability. And so we want Tinder users to really know that we're here to help them. And that while we can't control every experience, we can at least foster and protect that environment of safety and respect. And so that essentially the bottom line is that everyone feels comfortable being themselves and having a great experience. And so I'm just going to sort of move into the philosophy of Tinder, which is really rooted in that cornerstone of having a good relationship that is founded on trust and respect. This is extremely critical in how we think about the relationship between Tinder and its members. And I think as Gen Z will tell you, trustworthiness is very important and it's key. It's key to not only this generation, but it's really the majority of our member base. And it's really what we use to describe how to be successful as a brand or really think about our product today. At Tinder, the top priority is really built on that authentic experience, but also making sure that the experience is equitable, of course, and that we are really focusing on not only giving members a great experience, but really making sure that members don't feel unsafe and that they're having a good time. And that, we are really setting an example of what trust and safety should be and really, making sure that we embed that in the impact of Tinder's future on the platform as a business. And when we talk about safety, it's really important that we're clear on the role on what Tinder plays in its members' lives. We think of Tinder as a place where people can not only just come and meet, but almost like a party, we're host to what that engagement looks like. So it's really our job to make sure that our guests, our members are comfortable and having a great time. And so like any good host, we're often asking those who are making others uncomfortable in the party to leave. We're making sure that people take accountability for their behavior, and we're making sure that we're setting an example of what responsible and respectful interactions and healthy interactions and engagement looks like across our platform. And this is why really the first message that members receive when they sign on to Tinder is focus on safety and respect. Every new member is presented with a set of community guidelines, which members must agree to before they're able to create a profile. And providing members with that simple code of conduct really helps people think twice before they consider any potentially bad or harmful, or I would also add exclusionary type of behavior that really increases individuals' inability to have a great experience. And so we have online safety tips that are available on our platform, and we continue to highlight what our safety commitments look like to ensure the preservation and protection of our users' experiences. So in full transparency, it's really our job to make sure that we continue to make this our focus and our priority. And it's really embedded not only in that mission of keeping the magic of Tinder users alive and the connections that they're trying to make, but also making sure that our actions are guided by a sense of responsibility and accountability. And so really wanted to sort of switch into what that safety looks like and some of the initiatives that really have been gotten off the ground over the past couple of years and what that's looked like. Sitting at Match Group, our parent company, we essentially put together an advisory council several years ago, which includes a number of anti-sexual assault and trafficking leaders, including Me Too Foundation, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. We also work with the National Sexual Violence Resource Center, among another of public policy and safety experts. And it's really these partners that really help with prioritizing what member safety looks like. And in Brazil specifically, Tinder's partnered with a number of local NGOs, including SaferNet and Phonotrans and ABGLT, among others, to make sure that our content is locally relevant and that we are also, taking account into different cultural variations when it comes to what members need to feel in order to be safe. In addition, we've also introduced several really exciting product features over the past couple of years that are essentially being rolled out globally to continue our mission for providing and essentially preserving that trusted space to meet new people. So I'm just going to, for the sake of time, share a little bit of what some of that work looks like. For Tinder in particular, we've rolled out photo verification, for instance, and this really helps to ensure that fellow members' profile images are genuine and authenticated. In fact, we recently launched an Explore Hub where members can now take more control over who they would like to match with, and by choosing to see only photo verified profiles. We also have introduced video chat, which helps to screen a match and get to know who and what that match says and where that safe sort of virtual distance it's coming from. And we've also improved ways in which members can report and notify to Tinder any suspicious or inappropriate behavior. We've just very, very recently launched a number of product updates to make sure that our reporting is survivor-centered and trauma-informed, and that's in partnership with RAIN, which is a US-based American sort of focused nonprofit that really does a lot of great work on anti-sexual dating violence and really combats and focus on the prevention of any form of rape and abuse and assaulted behavior. And we also recently sort of redesigned how the members think about how we can provide better care, not just for all of our members, but also specifically thinking about survivors of abuse and harassment and how we make sure that we have a dedicated commitment to survivor safety. We've also recently launched a couple of great features to essentially influence and essentially make sure that we are proactively holding people accountable to a pro-respectful and pro-social culture where we're reinforcing positive behavior. And this includes Are You Sure? And Does It Bother You? Both of these features have each been provided to help reduce inappropriate language and messaging and increase reporting of what this inappropriate behavior looks like during its testing. And lastly, we've also rolled out our introduction to wanting to make sure that we improve and include ID verification. And this is something we're really excited going into 2022 to roll out across our, not only Tinder, but some of our other dating and social connectivity apps. And this is really going to serve in deepening our commitment to creating that safe and authentic experience among our member community. And also in Brazil, and not just in Brazil, but everywhere, but really in Brazil, we've launched to date our largest safety center, which really gives Tinder members easy access to safety-related education and resource and tips, essentially guidance on how to have the Tinder experience that individuals want to have. In Brazil, this really features a really great, robust, and invaluable number of services that have been provided by local NGOs, including SaferNet. And we're really excited about our commitment through these partnerships to continue reinforcing safety and working with local organizations to better serve our local communities and deepen our understanding of the needs that our members have articulated and the needs that we may not be seeing as a company. And this really, I think, as we think about our product roadmap and our policy roadmap going into the future is really important and significant, which is why we're really excited to be a part of SaferNet, which is such a critical institutional and industry organization when it comes to the protection of digital safety across a lot of our platforms. And so I just really wanted to say in closing, meeting new people is really exciting, and we're really excited that Tinder has had such a growing and progressive role in how people connect, not specifically to date, but to make friends, to have the social experiences that people are looking for. And so we really want to make sure that we're providing our membership with guidance and advisement on how to exercise caution when they're interacting with someone that they don't know, and encouraging members to use their best judgment while they're putting their safety first. And so we have a number of online dating tips that can be found in our safety centers, and really reinforcing that people check out these safety centers and continue to follow Tinder to learn more about some of the really exciting product and policy updates that we're going to be rolling out in the next year. And then again, just really excited that we're able to sort of deepen this commitment and lean on our industry partners and cross-sector leaders to really make sure that we're sharing best practices, and we're including these best practices to make sure that we are preserving that respectful culture and we're reinforcing safety across our platforms. So in short, I just really wanted to thank everyone for the invitation to present and share a little bit about what Tinder's about and Tinder's mission when it comes to reinforcing digital safety. And thank you again for your time.
We are the ones to thank you. We thank you for the excellent presentation. Thank you for sharing all of it with us. Now, I would like to invite our last speaker of the day, Masuri Romero. She is the Sustainability Executive at Vivo. Masuri, I turn over to you now. Well, thank you very much. Good afternoon. I'm also happy to be able to share with you work that we really treasure a lot, and also to introduce to you a little bit. I will complement what my colleagues in the panel have said, because they were showing how companies have to be connected to their business. At Vivo, we're talking about a technology company that provides internet access, and because of that, it is our purpose that people are connected and can always have the best technology available at all times. I will now talk a little bit about the project we have. We've been working with it for a while. It's called Dialogando, Dialoguing. It was developed by our sustainability department, and we're really committed with the whole society. And this is meant for everybody and not necessarily only clients. We know that data is very important. I followed some of the lectures this morning, but worldwide, We have 4.5 billion users in the internet. In Brazil, we have 150 million users. We spend a large part of our day connected. Mean time is 6 hours worldwide. And 9 hours in Brazil. We can see how much we are connected. And at the same time, other people arrive. We talk a lot about children and teenagers, but we have other populations like the elderly who are migrating in this direction, especially during the pandemic. And so we had to use the network oftentimes, and it was very powerful initially. Now we have a new model. We have all of the protection measures, including people, but people have been using the internet more often, being more present. And so what is the role of this project? It was launched in 2015 to promote a discussion on the responsible use of technologies. What is it? The Telefonica group of the Vivo brand includes other countries as well. We have a panel in Portuguese where Telefonica operates. And we have some access for discussion like sustainability, education, innovation, safety, and behavior. We have, in fact, seen that if we have tools available in our environments and in our platforms, and we do not feel very safe, at the end of the day, we will have to be able to explain this to the public in general so that they are informed about the consequences of what they're doing. With this approach, we deal with education, conversations. Every year, we reinvent ourselves, sharing more accessible language, talking about different aspects, different topics, and also discussing how this works and how we can have quality content supported by specialists. And we have a lot of information available. It's important to have an environment that we can use. And what is our proposal? It's important that we have partnerships to explain how things work, to share content with healthy digital behavior, and what can be done to prevent, and how we can work in this environment so that the network is really safe. So we propose that people connect, and that Vivo want people to be connected, but that they can have the best behavior possible. So the objective here is to promote a debate on a constructive manner, discussing how these things can take place, provide services to the society with digital inclusion so that people have an exchange environment to exchange ideas, facilitate access to information. There are tools, there are safety tools that we use. For example, we have a lot of partnerships with Instagram or different platforms and how they work, what should be used, quality control. We have different target publics. We have instructions for children, teenagers, young people. We have instructions for parents, the elderly as well, or Tinder even. We had a publication talking about it and trying to demystify issues, what is safe, what is inappropriate. So we try to encourage people to use what is best in the internet and at the same time that they are careful about what they can or not do. For parents, children, should I do it or not? What is the best way to go? What replaces a conversation? We have a clear purpose to provide better connections, and we propose to share all of this information with the people at the network in an easier and accessible way, trying to have the support that we can provide to our users. In terms of safety, we have publications on virtual crimes, data protection, technology, hackers. We also talk about issues such as Black Friday, how to avoid traps, digital safety. Is it safe or not to buy crypto coins? So we're trying to talk about these very current issues and how this could be positive or negative, and how these things can be used on everyone's behalf. Now, talking a little bit about behavior, having tools and having opportunities for discussion will help people have positive experiences. And now talking about the last couple of years during the pandemic, when we first started with the COVID-19 in Brazil, we were one of the first to talk about things that were very close to people. For example, mental health, mobility. Overnight, people had to be locked in. So we had a lack of entertainment options. We discussed about games, things like that. People were bombarded by information. They were trying to keep as normal as possible within that context. We talked about online dating, about apps that could help us with meditation or reading apps. We also discussed how we can have a digital signature, since we could not even go to public notaries. So all of this was done. We tried to be a hub that facilitates people's lives at specific moments or not. We also talked about mobility, about how you can have a healthy environment, how you can keep the balance between conciliating the digital life and home office with your children, how to raise them, how to have homeschooling and things like that. So these things were very important and based on people's expectations. So we propose to talk about anything, information, so that people could dialogue and use the network the best way possible. We also had to reinvent ourselves. But things change. We have novelties, we have had expansions since 2015. In other words, we have been working with this for 7 years. We have made publications, we evolved to videos, to podcasts, and we know that a lot of people use this type of information. What we want is to make it easier for people to follow what we're doing. So we have short series to talk about different topics. And this month, we're celebrating the safe internet. We're going to talk about safety. We're going to talk about fake news, which is very important. We're going to talk about the 2018 elections as well. And we already had publications on fake news way back then, how we can fight fake news. And we have a lot of questions. People don't know whether they should delete it or not, and what we should do or not. Sort of like counseling. And we have tips. Also, we have a little bit of everything, actually. We talk a lot about different things, but the most important thing is for us to access different things. We focus on children, teenagers, elderly dating, and we can see that our public is diversified. Today, we have very good results. We have over 700 publications, and we can see that we have very accurate numbers so that people come to us. We have examples demonstrating that people want to remain connected, so that when we have relevant topics that are interesting for people, we're happy to be able to provide that. We want the use of the internet to be positive and healthy. We want to align our proposals to different nice activities. We want to network with everybody, and we do believe that the success of this project and our ability to reach so many people is that we have a mix, a little bit of everything, and they end up talking directly to the target audience. And then one thing I wanted to mention in terms of safety and talking about partnerships, we have established a partnership with WhatsApp. We have specialists who are called gurus. They will have a special campaign explaining how a safer WhatsApp works, how we can avoid cloning and schemes that we see in the internet. Also, two-step confirmations, effective checking systems. We also invest in digital protection. The proposal is to have parental control, antivirus, alerts. It's very nice to be familiar with that. We are concerned about how we can have a good environment and support our clients to have better protection and digital safety. So this is it. I tried to be quick, and I would like to invite you to visit our portal. It's called dialoguing.com. I thank you very much for the opportunity. Well, we are the one to thank you, Masuri, for the excellent presentation. Actually, everybody's presentation was excellent. It was a very rich panel. We have already explored all times limitations, so we will not be able to have our Q&A session. Carlos Afonso and Demi will be here to give their conference, are waiting. They have been waiting for a long time. And there are other people here waiting to watch their presentation. The organizers have guaranteed that they will gather all of the questions in YouTube's chat and share with you so that you are aware of it. And if you can answer them, you can answer using a different channel. But I want you to be aware of the questions at least. And I will make one last comment. We have such a wonderful opportunity with a microphone in our hands talking about safety. It's an honor to be in an event like this. I heard to Kelly in the previous panel, she talked about different actions to promote safety. And I've always just been watching, an interested user and interested as a citizen. But then in the last year, we had an opportunity, or my team had an opportunity to develop a awareness raising project with short videos. They are 15-second long, not only about safety, but on the use of internet in general. We want to better educate internet users so that they know how the internet works, how they can create better passwords, how they can behave, about risks, about rights and duties in the internet, and other questions, technical issues, behavior, safety. Different NIC.br teams help me. My team, even though it's a technical team with a lot of engineers and analysts, we create these videos. It's important to be able to explain technical issues. It's a little bit of advertising, but I think it's an important thing. Rodrigo, would you like to make any comments? I thank you all. And I also thank those who are here watching, making their comments. I apologize for not being able to have the Q&A round. Rodrigo. Well, thank you, Moreiras. It's really a pity. Every year we suffer from this. We have eliminated one panel so that we would have more time for the other panels. And we promise that next year we'll have an even longer panel. I would like to thank Natalia Paiva, Flávia, Marília, Blessing, Marsuri, Natalia Neres, who had to leave, and you, Antonio. I'd like to remind you that it's all recorded for those who have arrived later. The material is available at our website. And I really regret not being able to have the round of questions. We now invite you to get to know the safety centers. Masuri ended up talking about Dialogando, but the different platforms have their own safety area. They have improved. They have educational activities and are important spaces that we are not aware of. They share their policies. So please visit the safety centers of the different companies and also send us your questions so that we can better use these platforms. We're not going to have a break now, and we're going to move on to the last conference of the day.